DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you're expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, especially you, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together in one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show. This masterclass, this is a daily masterclass in case you didn't know. Not once a week, not twice a week, not whenever we feel like it, every day. This masterclass is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to think for yourself. Now, this is a topic that I covered, actually used the exact same title back in masterclass number 11, way back in April of 2016. But being that there's been some time since then, I felt like this needed an update. I needed to do a new version of it. So I'm giving it an upgraded masterclass on this exact same topic. And who knows, in 2024 or 2030, if I'm still around, I'll still have this masterclass. I may do another version of it. Okay, so we're just going to keep updating these topics with more knowledge, more insight, more information as I'm able to obtain it. And I think there are new views that I can add to what I've said in the past. So what I said back in masterclass number 11 is still relevant, but I'm going to add on to it and give you some new insights and new ways of looking at this, some new perspectives on this topic of how to think for yourself. This topic is an extremely important one. The further we go into everyone having their own platform to say anything that they want to say, which we all have, we call it social media, and we have leaders and authority figures who are less in touch with, as I see it, less in touch with truth as opposed to pushing their personal agendas, which become their personal opinions. Meaning, the reason why that matters is because you need to learn to decipher what is actually true and what is actually accurate versus somebody just giving you their propaganda, giving you their ideas, giving you their beliefs in order to move their own personal agenda forward and use you to do so. So you need to know if you're being used, or you need to know you're being used. Okay, somebody's playing you, at least know that you're being played. All right, somebody's putting on a show just so they can get a certain outcome and they're just using you to get there. You should at least know that that's happening. Even if you are a willing participant, at least know that you are a participant in the game. A lot of people are being propagandized and they're having agendas pushed on them and opinions given to them, opinions basically assigned to them based on the media that you are consuming and the people with whom you interact most often, and also because of people that you avoid interacting with and don't even know that you're the one that's being played. All right, they're all playing the game. They know they're playing the game. You're the only one who doesn't know that the game is being played, and you're the one who's being played on. So today's topic, how to think for yourself, even though everyone who's listening to me right now, I doubt there's anyone listening to me right now. If I said, who here needs help in thinking for themselves, probably nobody will raise their hand. Now, everybody thinks that they think for themselves. The problem is most people don't because they think they're thinking for themselves. The great thing about the social platforms that we have, these engineers at these companies, they are really, really smart. Most of them are smarter than all of us, even smarter than me. And they know how to assign you an opinion and allow you to believe that you're the one who came up with it. But today, I'm going to give you, I guess what they would call this is the matrix. They would call this the red pill for you to understand just by reverse psychology. Everything that I say, ask yourself if you've been doing this already, because if you haven't, you have not been thinking for yourself. You have had your opinions and ideas given to you. You didn't know it, but today you're going to know. I'm going to help uncover all of that for you because that's what I'm here for. That's what we do here at Work on Your Game. So point number one, the topic once again is how to think for yourself. Number one, question everything. This is the first thing that you need to be doing. If you're thinking for yourself, you are already questioning everything. Ask yourself, do you question everything? And when I say question everything, not just the things that you disagree with. It's easy to question things you disagree with. Often what people do when they hear something they disagree with, they don't question it. They just flat out dismiss it. But what you should do when you hear something that with which you disagree, and you believe that the person who is saying it, and this will require a little bit of maturity, you can at least give some credit, some intellectual credit to the person who said it, or presented it, or did it. You think they have some level of intelligence, but you disagree with what they said or did. Instead of dismissing it or attacking it, here's what you need to do. You need to question it, meaning make a statement that has a question mark at the end so that you can learn why this person or this thing or this idea or this group is saying what they're saying or doing what they're doing. That's what I mean by questioning. Not attacking, not dismissing. Oh, you're dumb. You're obviously blind. You don't know what's going on. Those are all dismissive comments. Not attacking. Oh, you're wrong. You're stupid. You're a bum. You're an idiot. You're a fill in the blank. Whatever derogatory term you can come up with for someone who says something that you don't like. That is attacking it. And you also got to be careful with your questioning, because some questions are in the form of attacks. Are you saying that you just don't understand what's going on? Are you really going to make the claim that fill in the blank, whatever they said, or your bastardized version of what they said to try to get them into a corner? Okay, those are attacking questions. The question that you need to be asking is who, what, when, where, why, and how questions, so you can get answers. You can understand. The purpose of questioning everything is to understand where the other person or other side or other group is coming from. All right, this is how you learn to think for yourself, because you want to learn how other people came about their ideas, especially when you hear someone who has an idea that is not the same as yours, maybe the exact opposite of yours. Instead of dismissing it, try to find out why they have that idea. Try to find out where they got that idea from. And maybe it's paper thin. Maybe they don't even know, but maybe they do. Maybe they have some information that you don't have. Maybe they just see things in a way that you never even thought about seeing things. Maybe they have a point of view. They see things from an angle that you never stood at that angle. Therefore, you've never seen it before. No wonder you'll have different opinions. And let me be clear. Questioning everything also means questioning things that you agree with. When someone says something that you agree with, you need to start asking yourself the following question. Why do I believe this? Why do I agree with this? Especially when someone is stating an opinion. Someone states an opinion, you agree with the opinion. Why do I agree with that opinion? Because it's just an opinion. I mean, there's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Now, if someone states a fact, then that's something you can agree with because it can be proven. It's black and white. It can be proven in some way, shape, or form. But an opinion or a belief, why do you have that opinion or belief? Have you ever considered, ask yourself this question, have I ever considered the opposite opinion? And why or why not? This is all part of thinking for yourself. When people get mad at you, if you ever start questioning someone's statement or their position or their action or their belief, or at least what they have stated as a belief, and somebody gets annoyed with you or mad at you for asking them questions, it is usually, not all the time, but usually because whatever they're offering is not their full truth, and or they don't have anything to stand on when it comes to making that opinion or sharing that belief or making that statement. They don't have any way of backing it up. It's just what they believe because it's been assigned to them. They heard it from somebody else. They don't have any substance behind it. Therefore, when you question them and hold it up to the light, they don't have anything else to say. So they get annoyed with you for even putting them on the spot. And let me be clear. All of this that I'm saying applies to you as well as it does to quote unquote other people. But we don't have to quote unquote other people. It applies to you as well. Why do I have this belief? If you can't answer the question, it's probably because somebody gave you that belief. Now you have just assumed it to be the fact, quote unquote fact, and you don't have anything behind it. When a person is sharing their truth or the truth, and they have some substance and or they have some substance behind what they're saying, they will be happy to be questioned by you for what they're saying. They're happy to be questioned. They're happy to answer any questions that you have and to be challenged with what you are saying. And again, challenged in a way that you're trying to learn, not challenged in a way that you're just trying to attack because you just decided that they're wrong. All right, this is what a lot of idiots do on social media. They try to challenge you, but they're challenging you in such a way in the wording of what they say, the tone of what they're saying in their words is that, oh, well, I already have assumed and decided that you're wrong. So I'm just going to ask some questions that would corner you if you were to ask them that will prove me right and you wrong. All right, that is a fool's gambit. Don't fall into that one. If some of you have already fallen into it, I'm going to pull you out of the hole by uncovering what you're doing. Don't do that. Okay? A person who has some real substance behind what they say is happy to answer any questions that you have. Now, it doesn't mean that every question they answer that they give you is going to be satisfactory for you. Doesn't mean they got to tell you all their business, but they will respect the fact that you're asking because it shows that you are thinking. As long as your questions are good and your questions are actually thoughtful. All right, so your questions show that you're thinking if you actually think about them before you ask them. All right, so this is where sometimes on social media this can get lost in the sauce because you immediately react to something that somebody says instead of actually thinking first. As long as your questions are good, as long as your questions are thoughtful. A good question is one that somebody's happy to answer. They're glad that you asked the question. It's a question that they aren't used to being asked. It's a question that you thought about before you actually said it. When was the last time you did that on social media? This is what college should be teaching students. Now, I'm not in college. I'm not a college professor, But if we got any college students or college employees here listening, this is what colleges should be teaching you, is to how to think for yourself through asking questions, asking the right questions, asking better questions. And you're like, well, Dre, how do I do that? Well, guess what? I wrote a book about it. It's called Ask Yourself a Better Question. You can get it at workonmygame.com/ask, A-S-K. Ask yourself a better question. Again, that's workonmygame.com/ask. If you are in school right now, whatever grade, doesn't matter, gauge your professors. Ask yourself, do they encourage you to question them? Now, I'm talking about professors who are teaching some kind of class where people can have opinions and different beliefs. I'm not talking about like math. Now, math can be proven black and white on paper. Okay, I'm talking about classes where there's some type of topic that can be discussed and there can be different opinions. Do they encourage you to question them? Or are your professors giving you the doctrine and telling you to just accept their authority because they're the ones who said it? Or they're telling you to accept a certain doctrine because the opposite doctrine just won't be tolerated at that particular institution or in that particular neighborhood or wherever you happen to be? Question everything. You can note very quickly when you start questioning someone else's beliefs, whether it's actually standing on something solid or not, based on how they respond to the fact that you are questioning them. But at the same time, holding yourself accountable, you got to learn how to ask good questions. All right, some people ask really questions that don't really make any sense, or questions that they are basically just trying to corner a person into because they're trying to attack. Those are attacking questions. There's levels to this shit. If you understand what I'm saying here. And I give you plenty of examples on this show very often on how to ask better questions. If you don't know how to ask better questions, then first of all, get my book, How to Ask Yourself a Better Question. And then you can go listen to masterclass number 1494. Can anybody guess the title of that episode? The title of the episode is, time's up, title is How to Ask Better Questions. Now, again, that's masterclass number 1494, How to Ask Better Questions. Many people can use a listen to that masterclass. Trust me, I don't come across many people who ask good questions at all. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to think for yourself. Do not accept any information but your own. This is a difficult one for many people because only accepting your own information will require you to do some work and put some effort into vetting anything that you hear to make sure it is actual accurate information and it makes sense based on the knowledge that you have of the world coming into that information. Never base your opinion on anything in life on having only one side of an argument. Now, this right here, I mean, if everybody in the world accepted this, everything in life would change immediately, overnight. The entire world would change overnight if everyone in the world accepted the sentence that I just said. Let me say that sentence one more time. This is the sentence that would change the world if everyone accepted it. Never base your opinion on having only one side of an argument. Now, what I want to make clear about this point is that just because you hear the other side of an argument does not necessarily mean you are going to change your mind from the opinion that you already had. Just because you hear the other side doesn't mean you're going to realize that you were wrong. You may hear the other side, hear them out completely, be completely objective about it and say, okay, now that I've heard you out, I still am going to stick with the opinion that I came here with. That's completely fine if you want to do that. My theory, my hypothesis is if everyone in the world stopped basing their opinions on having only one side of an argument and they heard out both sides of every argument, every opinion, every belief that they have, especially the ones that people are emotionally attached to and are strongly adherent to, the whole world would change because a whole lot of people would be changing their actions, they'd be changing their thoughts, they'd be changing their statements about certain things in life simply because they have only been exposed to one side of a conversation. They accepted that one side of the conversation and never even opened their mind to possibly hearing about the other side, at least in a rational, objective, respectful way. Maybe in a negative way just so they could attack it, but not in a positive way. So what you need to do, if you're going to be a person who thinks for themselves, you must hear out both sides of any argument. And when there's an argument, that means there are different versions of every story. You got to hear out every side of a story, or all sides if it's more than two. All right, if it's two sides, hear both. If it's more than two, hear all of them. And then once you've heard everybody out, here's the next thing that you do. Don't just say, all right, now I'm going to just decide. No, ask questions until you have a satisfactory concept and idea of what's really going on. See, the more sides that you hear of an argument, a particular situation, the more sides that you hear, the more you really understand what's really happening. Because here's what happens. Any of you ever played a telephone game? If you don't know what it is, I'll explain it. Telephone game is when we did this I was in like 3rd grade, and the teacher showed us this. First time I ever heard it. And we weren't actually using a telephone. But she went to the person one of the students at the front of the room on the side, and she gave them a sentence that was like a 2-sentence phrase. And she said, all right, you, the student that she told, get up and tell the person who sits in the seat behind you what I just said, but tell them in their ear. Don't say it out loud. Tell them in their ear. And then the next person, you tell the next person, next person. And then we're going to have that phrase that I originally said, we're going to have it go around the whole room, 30 students. By the time the phrase got around the whole room to the person at the end of the room, the 30th student, the entire phrase had completely changed. The teacher said what she had originally told the person, or she had the first student say, all right, tell everyone in the room what I originally told you. And the student said it out loud, whatever it was. And then the last student, she said, all right, what is the phrase that you have? And it was completely different. And the whole point is, the more times a story passes around, the more that story changes. And the story that you get from person number 30 is completely different from the story that person number 1 had. Why does all that matter? Because even if you're only dealing with one person, in life, people tend to paint stories with their own emotions, with their own opinions, and with their own perspectives. Meaning, if you're a person who likes politician X, and politician X does something positive, you're going to make it sound like it was the greatest thing that ever happened. But if you hate politician X and politician X does the exact same thing, you would make what politician X did sound like it wasn't so great. Why? Because you are painting it with your own perspective and your own agenda. And if you take what you think and you tell somebody else and they don't examine it, they don't question it and find out if what you told them is actually what really happened, if they just accept what you said as truth, now they're going to go tell somebody else, they'll tell somebody else, they'll tell somebody else. And in that chain of 30 people that he gets told to, nobody in that 30 does what I'm telling you here, which is don't accept any information but your own. Nobody goes and fact checks and says, let me find out if what I'm being told is what actually happened here. Let me go see what really took place. So I make sure I'm not just getting an emotionalized version of it by somebody who loves this person or hates this person. Let me find out what really happened. Nobody does that. Therefore, this message gets all around. As the saying goes, a lie travels around the world twice before the truth even puts its pants on. This is what happens with a lot of people in many areas of life. They accept information that they did not get from the actual source of the information. They accept that it's true, and then they go spread it and tell somebody else. So then you got 2 idiots. Then you got 3, then you have 4, then you have 50. Now you got to ask yourself, are you one of the idiots spreading information that you did not get from the actual source of the information? Ask questions until you have a solid idea of what's really going on. And let me be clear, a solid idea of what's really going on, what that means is you need to hear versions of what happened from people who have different opinions on what happened. All right, so don't just listen to 10 people who said this thing is bad and then say, okay, well, I heard it from 10 different people, it must be bad. No, no, no. Listen to the 10 people who said it was bad. Now go find 10 people who said it was good. Hear what they have to say. Now you're going to have a completely different perspective if you are an open-minded individual, which I hope you are. If you're listening to this show, I would assume that you either are or you're on your way there. It used to be, believe it or not, it used to be that facts, F-A-C-T-X, or some of you know it's F-A-X, facts. It used to be that facts could not be challenged because facts were just black and white, easily provable, right? That's what a fact is. But now, human beings have gotten access to more information, and there are a lot of really smart people out here in the world. You know what they do now? Now, what people do is select the facts that support their case and ignore the facts that don't. So when they tell you that they're giving you facts, they're actually telling the truth. These are facts that that person is giving you. However, they have only selected certain facts that support their point, and they've left out a whole bunch of other facts that would discredit what they're trying to push on you. So what do you do now? What do? Do you just become a victim of these people? What happens? No. Here's what you do. Well, you could become a victim if you don't want to do the work of getting your own information. But here's the other option. This is the one that I'm suggesting to you. It is your job to suss out all facts of a situation, both the facts that support your beliefs and those which would disconfirm your beliefs. All wise individuals, ladies and gentlemen, look for reasons why they might be wrong, while foolish people look for reasons why they're right. Let me say that one more time. This is one you should write down. Wise people look for reasons to disconfirm themselves, to find out why they are wrong, while foolish people look for reasons to confirm themselves, to verify that they're right. Masterclass number 846. True confidence is in disconfirming yourself. You know you're truly confident when you can look for ways to find out why you may be wrong, whereas a fool only looks for reasons to confirm that they're right. And the great thing about this world today for the fool who doesn't know any better is that they will always find reasons that they're right, because you can put yourself in a bubble to where you're only hearing things that you agree with. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to think for yourself. Number 3, ask yourself how many ideas, opinions, or beliefs you have right now that most people in your circle, or most people, period, do not agree with. Let me say that one more time so you make sure you heard it properly. Ask yourself how many ideas, opinions, or beliefs you have that most people in the world in general and or the people in your circle disagree with. Now, why do you need to ask yourself if you have any opinions that people disagree with? Here's why. If you find that you don't have any, if you find that 100% of your opinions and beliefs and ideas go hand in hand with the group, whatever that group is, and or all of your friends, you need to go back to point number 1, which is question everything. How is it possible that as a human being, as unique as each one of us is, no two thumbprints are alike, no two humans are exactly alike, how is it possible that every one of your opinions, every one of your ideas, and every one of your beliefs goes 100% hand in hand with other people who are the same race, color, religion, background, social economic status as you? How is that possible? Even though they're the same color, even though they may be the same race, even though you're from the same neighborhood, even though you're in the same family, you two are not exactly alike. Even if you're twins, you ain't exactly alike. So how is it possible that you and that other person or those other people all have all the same ideas? It is because none of you is thinking for yourself. All of you are followers. All of you had your beliefs assigned to you. You repeated them to each other, and you've all just decided to keep the same ideas. Nobody's questioning anything. Nobody's thinking for themselves. You are a flock of sheep. If you cannot identify any opinions, beliefs, or ideas that you have that other people in your group, family, same status as you, environment, community, whatever, do not agree with. What ideas do you have that most people would disagree with? Tim Ferriss, who has a very popular podcast of his own, asks his guests, I've heard him ask his guests this question. I don't know if he still uses it, but it's a great question. Hopefully he still does. He says, what is something that you believe that most of the world thinks is crazy? He asks all of his guests that question. And the reason I love that question is because Tim understands that Tim usually has very high quality people on his show. All right? He doesn't just run through also-rans and people who are just have some shallow stuff to offer but no real substance beneath it. He talks to people who have some depth. And that's how he's able to have 2-3 hour conversations with people on his show. When people come on this show, I don't have too many guests on this show. I have 2-3 hour conversations because I want to talk. I want to get in depth with people. I don't want just the surface. Tell me where you're from and how you started your business and the 15-20 minute conversations. That's not what I'm into. I've been on a lot of those shows, but for when I'm doing interviews, I want to go deep with people. And Tim Ferriss understands that he talks to people with depth. So he knows he can ask this question and he'll always get an answer. He's never asked someone this question. They said, well, nothing. Everything I believe, everybody else in the world believes too. If that was the answer, he wouldn't have that person on the show in the first place. And understand that this is not about being a contrarian, going against the grain just to go against the grain. Though some sheep will accuse you of this. If you're that type of person, you start questioning everything. You don't just go along with the group. You have some opinions that go against what the rest of the group thinks. Some people are going to say, oh, well, you're just being a contrarian, or you're just trying to stand out. You're just trying to be the eyeball. You're just trying to get attention by going against what everybody else is saying. Bullshit. Only sheep will accuse you of that. All right. Only sheep have the same opinions as everybody else in the group and will never express anything different from what the rest of the group thinks because they don't know any better. They don't understand what I've just spent the last 25 minutes explaining. Human beings are too unique to all have the same opinions. You are either confirming yourself or not thinking for yourself if everything you think is the same as what everyone else thinks. Everyone else in your group, everyone else in your family, everyone else on your team, everyone else at school, everyone else at your company. Or maybe you're inside of an environment where you're not allowed to have an outside opinion. You're not allowed to have a different opinion for threat of being attacked, being ostracized, being kicked out, being fired. I understand. You might need to find yourself a new group. Actually, take out the word might. You need to find yourself a new group where difference of opinion is allowed. There ain't too many places right now in the world where that is tolerated, but you need to go look for it. All right, that's your job. That's all part of working on your game. Let's recap today's class, which is how to think for yourself. This is an update on math class number 11 from back in 2016. How to think for yourself. This is an extremely important topic these days because everybody has a platform to say anything that they want. Doesn't have to be true, doesn't have to be proven, and we can listen to as many people as we want or as few as we want. You must learn how to think for yourself so you can suss out the bullshit from what is actually accurate. Point number 1, question everything. Ask who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. If somebody gets mad at you for asking questions, it's usually because they're not sharing the full truth and or they have no substance behind what they're saying. Or maybe you are asking attacking questions. You got to learn how to ask the right type of questions, how to ask better questions. Math class number 1494. Point number 2, don't accept any information but your own. Never base your opinion on having only one side of an argument. Hear out every side of an argument, then ask questions until you get a good idea of what is really going on. It is often not as good or as bad as somebody's going to make it sound if they're strongly on one side of a conversation. Your job is not be the next sheep who just joins that side of the conversation without getting the other side. Suss out all the facts, both from those who support your beliefs and those who disconfirm your beliefs. Wise people look for reasons to disconfirm themselves, i.e. why they might be wrong, while fools look for reasons why they are right. Point number 3, ask yourself how many ideas, opinions, beliefs you have that most people in your circle or most people in general would disagree with. If all of your opinions and beliefs are the same as everyone else's, you are a sheep. All right, they are going to cut your hair so they can make a coat. All right, not about being contrarian, though some sheep will accuse you of this. Human beings are too unique to all have the same opinions. You are either confirming or not thinking for yourself if everything you think is the same as what everyone else thinks. Ask yourself what ideas you have that other people do not have. Ask yourself that question right now. If you don't have any, you got a problem, but you can work on it. Work on your game. Dre, all